They said, just think positive, visualize, repeat your affirmations every day. So, why isn't it working? You did the work, but nothing changed. You kept reaching for a reality that never reached back. That's the heartbreak of the law of attraction lie. No one told you the truth. It was never about words. Not your vision board. Not your mantras. The problem isn't you. It's the system you've been using. Because in the quantum field you don't attract, you synchronize. Like tuning a radio, you receive what matches your frequency, not your effort. Studies from Stanford and the HeartMath Institute show your electromagnetic field, especially from your heart, shapes your reality. So what are you really broadcasting? Stay with me. Let's break the old framework and set your frequency free. You've probably tried it all. Affirmations in the mirror, scripting your dream life at 11:11, the 33 times method, vision boards filled with luxury homes and soulmates. And maybe for a moment you felt a spark. But then reality didn't shift. And deep down a quiet question kept returning. Why does it work for others, but not for me? That's the wound. No one talks about the sense that you're doing everything right, yet nothing truly changes. The truth? These methods only speak to your conscious mind. But it's not your conscious mind that broadcasts your frequency. It's your subconscious, your emotional body, your nervous system. Imagine trying to change the music by taping new lyrics over a speaker while the same melody keeps playing underneath. That's what most manifestation techniques do. They decorate the surface, but never retune the signal. You can repeat, "I am abundant" all day, but if your nervous system is still wired for survival, your body is broadcasting fear. That's why it doesn't land. That's why it doesn't stay. Because the quantum field responds not to words, but to vibration, and vibration comes from your emotional state, not your morning routine. Science backs this up. According to research from Stanford Neuroscience and the Polyvagal Theory by Dr. Porges, your autonomic nervous system is the gateway between perception and creation. When your body feels unsafe, it emits stress, frequency tight muscles, shallow breath, hypervigilance. Even if your mind says, "I'm ready for love," your body might still be bracing for heartbreak. Your limbic system, the brain's emotional center, doesn't respond to logic. It responds to memory, trauma, and emotional repetition. And it doesn't forget. This is what somatic psychology calls implicit memory, stored not as thoughts, but as sensations. That heavy chest when you talk about money. The constriction in your throat when you try to say, "I deserve more." These are not random. They are signals. And the body doesn't lie. You may be asking for abundance while broadcasting survival, hoping for expansion while your inner world whispers, "It's not safe." So, what's the solution? We don't discard the desire, we shift the signal. But to do that, we must stop treating manifestation like a mindset hack and start seeing it as a frequency alignment. Because you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. Does this resonate with you? Have you felt this invisible gap too? Let me know in the comments. And stay with me, because next, we'll rewrite the framework completely. Not attraction, synchronization. And everything changes from there. Before we dive deeper, if this message is already resonating, take a second to like this video and subscribe. It helps more than you know. And now, let's shift the frame, because this next part might change how you see everything. Here's the truth no one told you. You're not a magnet. You're a receiver. We've been sold the idea that we pull things into our life as if the universe is a stubborn force that needs to be seduced by vision boards and perfect thoughts. But the quantum model tells a very different story. In quantum physics, every potential already exists. Every version of your life, wealthy, free, loved, vibrantus, not out there, waiting to be attracted. It already exists as a wave of possibility in the quantum field. You don't attract the life you want. You tune into the version of you who's already living it. Think of reality like an infinite field of radio stations, all playing simultaneously. Love, fear, abundance, lack, they're all out there, broadcasting right now. The question isn't, how do I get that station to play for me? The real question is, what frequency are you tuned to? You don't pull the station toward you. You adjust your inner dial. That's coherence. And what is frequency, really? It's not just your thoughts. It's your state of being, a living blend of your beliefs, emotions, body posture, breath rhythm, habits, even the way you walk into a room. A recent study from the HeartMath Institute shows that your heart emits an electromagnetic field detectable up to 3 feet outside your body, and that field shifts based on emotional state. Meaning, how you feel is what you're transmitting. So when you say, "I want to be wealthy," but your body is tight, anxious, and bracing for bills, the quantum field doesn't hear your words. It feels your frequency. You're not failing at manifestation. You're just tuned to an old station. Let's go back to the metaphor, the radio. When you want to hear jazz, you don't grab the air and try to pull jazz toward you. You don't scream affirmations at the radio. You turn the dial. Gently, precisely. You adjust your state until the signal comes through clearly. The same is true in your life. So what does this mean practically? It means we stop obsessing over outcomes and start tuning into embodied alignment. We ask, how does my future self feel, breathe, move, respond? And we practice that now, not to manipulate reality, but to become the version of us who already lives it. This is coherence, when thought, emotion, and action become one frequency. And when you reach that coherence, reality doesn't resist, it reflects. You think this sounds too simple? Maybe. But what if manifestation isn't meant to be complicated? What if the real work isn't forcing change but becoming resonance? What's your take on this shift? Have you ever felt moments when things just clicked, without effort? Let me know in the comments. And stay close, because next, we uncover the hidden reason so many of us stay stuck. You're broadcasting fear, and you don't even know it. What if the signal you've been sending isn't the one you think you're sending? You say you want abundance, but your chest tightens every time you check your bank account. You say you're ready for love, but your heart stays guarded just in case. You crave freedom, but find yourself micromanaging every tiny detail, afraid to let go. This is the invisible paradox of modern manifestation. You're asking for expansion while unconsciously broadcasting fear. It's not your fault. Most of us were never taught how to feel safe in the unknown. Instead, we learned to control, to analyze, to perform. And underneath it all, the nervous system stayed stuck in survival, monolocked in patterns of stress, worry, and hypervigilance. Your body may be calm on the outside, but what signal is it really sending? Let's go deeper. The sympathetic nervous system, your body's built-in survival responses, activated by threat. Not just physical danger, but emotional uncertainty. When you feel like you're running out of time, money, love, or safety, that system kicks in. Heart races, breathing shortens, muscles tense, thoughts spin, cortisol floods your bloodstream, and most importantly, your field changes. Studies from UCLA and Harvard Medical School show that chronic stress alters perception, literally reshaping how we see reality. We stop perceiving from potential and start reacting from fear. And here's the key. This becomes your frequency. You might speak affirmations, but your body is whispering, "I'm not safe." This is why manifestation often feels like pushing a boulder uphill. Because on the outside, you're performing confidence, but on the inside, you're broadcasting contraction. This is what I call the high vibe mask. It looks like positivity, smiles, gratitude lists. But underneath, anxiety, lack, control, and the quantum field doesn't respond to the mask. It responds to the root signal. So what's the difference between a false high frequency and a true one? The false one feels fragile. It needs proof. It clings to routines. It panics when things don't go as planned. But the real one? It feels grounded, spacious, calm. Not because everything is certain, but because your nervous system has learned how to feel safe in the unknown. That's true alignment. And you can feel it in your breath, in your belly, in the way you meet the moment without bracing for impact. So ask yourself gently, when I think about what I want, does my body soften? Or does it tighten? That's your real signal. And it's okay if the answer surprises you. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Because once you see the truth of what you're really broadcasting, you can begin to shift it not by force, but through presence. You don't need to become louder. You need to become clearer. Have you ever noticed yourself pretending to feel high vibe while something inside was still afraid? What did that feel like? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. And stay with me, because next we explore something powerful: the feedback mechanism of the quantum field. How the universe mirrors not what you say, but what you are. What if the universe isn't listening to your words, but to your signal? In the quantum field, there are no ears-only resonance. You can't convince reality through repetition. You can't force outcomes by saying, "I want this," over and over again. Because the field doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you are. And what you are is constantly being broadcast through a unique energetic imprint, your electromagnetic signature. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it your energy broadcast. Your thoughts are electrical, and your emotions are magnetic. Together, they create a complete signal of personal frequency that tells the field who you're being in this moment. Not who you wish to be, not who you pretend to be, but who you are, at your core. Imagine walking through life as a human transmitter. Every thought sparks a pulse in the brain. Every emotion sends a ripple through the body. That combinación of thought charged with emociones, what the field reads. So when you think, "I am abundant," but feel anxious and unworthy, your signal is fragmented. It's static. And the field reflects that fragmentation. That's the law of resonance. Not reward, not morality, simply resonance. And it's backed by science. The HeartMath Institute has found that coherence between the heart and brain creates the most powerful, clear electromagnetic signal. When your thoughts and feelings are in sync, when your intention and your emotion are aligned, your field becomes coherent, and the quantum responds faster, more harmoniously. Coherence feels different. It's not dramatic or forced. It's quiet, steady, open, like a river flowing through soft earth, and it's deeply somatic. According to Polyvagal Theory, your nervous system state determines how you experience and project reality. A regulated systemone that feels safe emits a calm, receptive signal, but a system stuck in survival emits noise, disconnection, resistance. That's why trying to manifest from stress rarely works. It's like screaming into a canyon and hearing only your own fear echo back. Let's make this practical. Think of the last time you were truly at peace, not hoping, not chasing, just being. In that state, things often flowed, didn't they? People called. Opportunities arrived. Ideas dropped in. Not because you were forcing, but because your signal was clear. This is how the feedback mechanism works. The field doesn't judge. It mirrors. And it mirrors with precision. If you send out clarity, clarity returns. If you broadcast confusion, life gets foggy. If you send fear while speaking abundance, you might attract lack, because fear is what the field felt. So the shift is simple, but profound. Stop trying to tell the universe what you want. Start becoming the version of you who already lives it. Your electromagnetic signature is updating with every breath, every choice, every feeling you allow or suppress. That's your true creative power, not performance, but presence. What have you been broadcasting lately, without even knowing it? What happens when you become deeply honest with your frequency? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. And stay tuned, because next, we'll explore the hidden trap of manual manifestation and why trying harder often pulls you further from what you seek. What if trying harder is what's keeping it away? Meet Maya. She read every book, watched every video. She journaled every morning, visualized before bed, said her affirmations while brushing her teeth. She followed the rules step by step. Act as if. Raise your vibration. Trust the universe. And yet, every time she checked her bank account, her chest tightened. Every time she spoke about her dream career, her voice trembled just a little. She smiled through it, but underneath, her nervous system was in survival mode, bracing for something to go wrong. And the quantum field? It wasn't responding to her vision board. It was responding to her state. This is the hidden problem with manual manifestation. It makes you think reality changes through repetition, performance, and constant effort. But that effort often comes from fear, not alignment, from control, not trust. And the frequency of control is lack. The vibration of "I need this to happen" is received as "I don't have it." And that's the loop many people stay trapped in. It's like pushing a river with your hands, hoping it will flow faster. The quantum field doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to presence. That's why doing more often blocks the very thing you're trying to call in. It's not about stacking more practices. It's about refining your signal. One coherent signal is more powerful than 1,000 scattered intentions. Back to Maya. The breakthrough didn't come when she added more affirmations. It came the moment she paused, closed her eyes, and realized, "I've been chasing the life I already have permission to feel." She softened her breath, placed a hand on her heart, and for the first time in years, she didn't try to manifest. She simply became still, and that stillness carried a signal of trust. You see, the universe doesn't need your hustle. It mirrors your coherence. As Dr. Joe Dispenza explains, when your thoughts and emotions align with elevated states, gratitude, joy, certainty, your electromagnetic field becomes stronger and more ordered. The HeartMath Institute calls this heart-brain coherence, and it's been scientifically shown to regulate your nervous system, improve decision-making, and even influence your environment. So the real work? It's not in doing more. It's in being different. You don't need to manifest manually. You need to become the frequency that no longer has to try. What about you? Have you ever felt exhausted by trying to manifest the right way? What shifted when you let go even for a moment? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this insight resonates, feel free to share this video with someone who might need this reminder. Because the truth is, we're not meant to chase alignment. We're meant to remember it. And don't go anywhere, because next, we dive into the actual solution. Micro shifts, small moves, massive resonance. The most powerful transformations often begin with the tiniest frequency change. What if the breakthrough you're seeking isn't a leap, but a shift? Not a dramatic transformation overnight, not a lightning bolt from the sky, but a subtle pivot, a breath taken slower, a moment held longer, a choice made from presence and no pressure. This is the power of micro shifts, small, intentional moves that recalibrate your frequency at the source. Because in the quantum world, the smallest adjustment in vibration can create the largest ripple in reality. Here's the truth. Transformation doesn't always come from doing something big. Often, it comes from doing something true. And true doesn't have to be loud. In fact, the most powerful energetic broadcasts are often silent. You don't need a quantum jump. You need a string of quantum nudges, aligned with the version of you that already exists in the timeline you desire. So what does a micro shift look like? It looks like pausing before reacting. Like choosing to breathe deeply when your nervous system wants to rush. It's replying to a text with presence, not obligation. It's walking a little slower, not because you're lazy, but because rushing belongs to the old version of you. These may seem like nothing, but energy doesn't measure change by intensity. It measures it by coherence. Think of a tuning fork. One tapif aligned can bring a whole instrument into harmony. Micro shifts work the same way. They're not about effort. They're about precision. A 1-degree change in your state repeated consistently can land you on an entirely new emotional continent. Let's be clear. This isn't about positive thinking. Mindset is part of the equation, but mindset alone lives in the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is only the tip of the iceberg. What controls your frequency is deeper. Your nervous system, your breath, your posture, your patterns of attention. That's why shifting your vibration is not just about thinking differently. It's about being differently. You can think, "I am safe," but if your shoulders are tense, your breathing shallow, your jaw tight, your body's not convinced, and the field feels your body. According to research by Dr. Stephen Porges, Polyvagal Theory, your autonomic state, fight, flight, freeze, or safety governs not only how you respond to life, but how you emit into it. That's the real frequency. Not your thoughts, but the felt sense of your body's truth. So next time you want to manifest something, don't ask, "What can I do to get it?" Ask, what would the version of me who already has it do right now? Would they breathe softer? Would they speak slower? Would they stop proving and simply allow? And here's where it becomes art. When those micro shifts become daily practice, reality doesn't just reflect them, it reshapes itself around you. Because the field doesn't respond to your hustle, it responds to your signal. And every micro shift is a new signal sent. So, what's one shift you can make today? One small move that speaks the language of the life you're ready to live. Let me know in the comments, because awareness is the first signal of change. And stay close, because next, we step into the most empowering truth of all. You don't need proof when you've already become it. The story of identity begins now. What if you stop chasing proof? Because you already are the evidence. Becoming isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or applause. Sometimes, it's as quiet as standing in the mirror one morning and realizing your breath is softer, your eyes steadier, the fear that used to run beneath your thoughts, it's not there. That's the shift. Not because something outside of you changed yet, but because you did. This is the unseen part of quantum transformation. There is a moment where you stop waiting to become and simply are. You stop asking the world to mirror back your worth. You stop needing confirmation, because the embodiment itself becomes your confirmation. It's no longer, I hope this works. It becomes, this is who I am now. This doesn't mean pretending. Becoming isn't performance, it's practice. It's not about acting rich, acting healed, acting powerful. It's about tuning into the version of you who already feels that way and living from there, even when there's no immediate proof. And here's the paradox. When you no longer need the evidence, it arrives. You don't demand reality to give you love, you feel love and become the one who receives it. You don't hustle for freedom. You soften into the rhythm of someone who already walks in it. You don't cling to affirmations, you embody the truth they've been pointing toward all along. Like a violin string vibrating at just the right pitch, you don't make the music happen. You simply resonate. That's when the field reflects back something new, not because you forced it, but because you became it. This is what scientists like Dr. Joe Dispenza call reconditioning the body to a new mind. When you emotionally rehearse your desired identity and align your actions to it, your brain and nervous system begin to rewire. New neural pathways form. Stress chemicals decrease. Your electromagnetic field becomes more stable. And that stability is what the quantum responds to. Not intensity. Not effort. Stability. So here's the real question. Can you live as the version of you who no longer needs to prove anything because you've already become it? Not for others. Not to manifest faster, but because it's who you truly are. Becoming isn't about chasing a future. It's about allowing it to meet you because you've matched it. You don't beg the sun to rise. You simply open your curtains. So ask yourself, what would change if you stopped needing signs? What if the clearest sign was your own alignment? You are not waiting. You are not becoming. You are. Let me know what this awakens in you, down in the comments. And stay close, because next, we'll move from theory to practice. How do you tune to that new version? Let's explore the daily embodiment of your future self moment by moment. What if your entire reality is waiting for you to pause? Not rush into the day, not scroll through messages, but sit still and ask one question softly, sincerely. Who do I choose to be today? This is how tuning begins. Not with effort, but with attention. Not with performance, but with presence. Each morning before the world gets loud, give yourself 5 sacred minutes. Before the emails, before the news, before you check who messaged you overnight, pause. Breathe. Let your spine settle, and tune in. Close your eyes, feel your body, and ask, what version of me is already living the life I'm calling in? What do they feel like in their chest? How do they move? How do they breathe? Speak. Look at the sky. Then, slowly, without pressure, bring one piece of that version into your present moment. Maybe it's a deeper breath. Maybe it's the way they walk into a room grounded, relaxed, unhurried. Maybe it's a single sentence they would say differently. That's not pretending. That's anchoring. And anchoring is how we shift timelines. Throughout the day, begin to observe your environment. Does it reflect the version of you you're choosing to embody? Is your space cluttered with the past? Are your conversations rooted in lack? What about your language? Words are signals. When you say, "I'm trying to figure it out," what vibration are you broadcasting? When you say, "I don't have time," what timeline are you reinforcing? Start catching the subtle codes. Shift them gently. I'm choosing to create clarity. I'm allowing spaciousness. I'm becoming someone who honors time, rather than chases it. These are not just mindset tweaks. They're frequency adjustments. And here's the most important part. You will fall out of tune. That's not failure, it's human. You'll get triggered. You'll feel fear. You'll forget who you're becoming. But here's the shift that matters most. Coming back. When you notice yourself spiral into anxiety, contraction, urgency, stop. Place a hand on your heart. Breathe in. Breathe out. Ask, what would my aligned self do right now? That breath right there is your way back. Because coherence isn't perfection. It's practice. It's returning. Again and again. Neuroscientists like Dr. Andrew Huberman affirm that the brain is most easily rewired through repetition with safety. When you return to your chosen frequency without judgment, you strengthen new neural circuits. You teach your nervous system that this version of you is safe to become. So tuning isn't something you do once. It's something you live into, one choice, one breath, one morning at a time. How do you tune? What brings you back when you lose yourself? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your ritual. And stay with me because next, we arrive at the final truth. You don't have to wait for reality to change. You only need to change frequency. And everything responds from there. What if the life you desire isn't waiting for you in the future, but already vibrating in the present at a different frequency? Here's the truth most of us were never told. The universe doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your signal. Not to your vision board, not to how badly you want it, but to the energy you're broadcasting with every breath, word, and choice. You don't attract your desires like a magnet. You become the version of you who naturally lives in that reality. And from that state, life doesn't need to be chased. It meets you. So if there's one thing you take from this journey, let it be this. You don't need to wait for external evidence. Because when you shift your frequency, the evidence has to appear. It's physics. It's resonance. It's law. And it begins not with effort but with awareness. Not with striving, but with alignment. Right now, in this moment, you get to choose. Do I keep waiting for reality to change? Or do I become the frequency that changes reality? If this speaks to something deep inside you, drop it in the comments. I choose frequency, not for engagement, but as a signal broadcasted from the core of who you're becoming. And if you're ready to take this further, whisper this to yourself now, gently, as a promise. From today forward, I don't need proof, because I am the proof. Let that truth settle in your body. Let it shift something in your breath, in your shoulders, in your timing. The field is listening not to your doubts, not to your plans, but to your coherence. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are tuning, and you're closer than you think. What resonated most for you in this journey? What shift are you walking away with? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to feel it with you. And if you want to keep walking this path, receiving more guidance on frequency, embodiment, and aligned identity, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and gently tap the bell. Not out of urgency, but as a declaration. I'm ready to live from my signal, not my story.